There was a time when myths were not just stories. They were warnings. They were symbols. They were mirrors of who we are and who we fear becoming. Dragons were never just beasts. They were power, knowledge, destruction, and rebirth. And across every culture, from east to west, they guarded something sacred. In this channel, we do not just talk about mythology. We bring it into the real world, into your space, into your daily life. Because surrounding yourself with myth is not decoration. It is a reminder. Today, we begin with 5 objects inspired by ancient legends. Not because you want them, but because, in some way, you need them. Links with updated prices are waiting for you in the description. Let us begin. There is a reason dragons are always forged in metal in modern myth. Metal does not bend easily. It does not forget shape. And once formed, it lasts. This dragon is not something you buy to fill a shelf. You need it if your mind never truly rests. If you are the kind of person who enjoys building, understanding, and mastering complexity piece by piece, when you assemble this dragon, you are doing more than following instructions. You are reenacting a ritual that appears again and again in mythology, creation through patience. In a world of instant gratification, this forces you to slow down, to focus during the final form, and when it stands complete, wings spread, body armored in gold, it becomes a silent guardian of your space. On your desk, in your studio, in your office. It tells a story about you without saying a word. That you value precision, that you respect power earned, not given. That chaos, when understood, can be shaped into beauty. This is not for someone who wants quick entertainment. And it is not all dragons are meant to fly. Some are meant to watch. This dragon does not roar. It sits, it waits. And that is exactly why you need it. In mythology, a seated dragon is not weak. It is restrained power, intelligence that has nothing to prove. The kind of force that only moves when absolutely necessary. If your space feels empty, cold, or without identity, this is not a decoration problem. It is a presence problem. This statue turns any room into a lair, a study into a sanctuary, a corner into a statement. You need this dragon if you are drawn to darker myths. If you resonate with the idea that knowledge and danger often share the same shape. If you believe that beauty does not have to be soft to be meaningful. The mechanical details are not there to impress visitors. They are there to remind you that even legends evolve. That ancient power, fused with industry and intellect, creates something timeless. This is not for someone who wants something cheerful, and it is not for someone who follows trends. But some dragons are not guardians of places. They are guardians of decisions. This dragon does not sit. It does not sleep. It stands, sword raised, crystal in hand. And that tells you everything. In mythology, the sword represents action. The orb represents knowledge. Holding both means balance between instinct and wisdom. You need this dragon if you are at a point in your life where thinking is not enough anymore. When you know something must change, but courage is required to move forward. This figure is not about power over others. It is about power over yourself. Placed on a desk, it becomes a silent reminder during long nights. Placed on a shelf, it watches without judgment. Placed near you, it reinforces resolve. This dragon is for those who admire medieval myth, not for nostalgia, but for its clarity. Good and evil were never simple, but responsibility was. It is not large. It does not dominate the room like the previous dragon. And that is the point. This one speaks directly to you, not to your visitors. If you value intention over spectacle, if you believe that true strength comes from knowing when to act, then this dragon earns its place in your space. Because myths do not all dragons are symbols of destruction. Some are symbols of renewal. This dragon comes from a different mythic tradition, one where dragons do not hoard gold. They bring balance. In Eastern mythology, dragons are tied to cycles, to time, to new beginnings. You need this dragon if you feel stuck in repetition. If days pass but something inside you is waiting for a reset, this is not a figure about dominance. It is about movement, flow, progress without violence. Placed in your space, it quietly shifts the atmosphere. It reminds you that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it arrives with patience. This dragon is perfect if you want myth without darkness. If you are drawn to prosperity, wisdom, and long-term vision. If you believe that change does not need to be chaotic to be powerful. It works especially well in places where you plan, reflect, or start new projects. A desk. Some myths are not meant to comfort you. They are meant to confront you. This dragon is not about beginnings. It is not about balance. It is about duality to dragons. One black, one white, locked in eternal tension. In mythology, this represents the conflict that never disappears. Light and shadow, control and instinct, order and chaos. You need this dragon if you understand that peace is not the absence of struggle. It is the mastery of it. This is not an object you hide in a corner. It becomes the center of the room. A monument. It tells everyone who sees it that you do not avoid complexity. You face it. This statue belongs to someone who has outgrown simple symbols. Someone who knows that strength comes from accepting contradiction, not denying it. Placed in a living room, it commands silence. Placed in a personal space, it becomes a reminder. You cannot destroy one side without losing the other. This is not for casual collectors. And it is not for those who... Myths never disappeared. They adapted. They changed form. They changed language. But they never stopped speaking to us. Dragons were not created to entertain. They were created to represent forces larger than any one person. Fear, wisdom, transformation, inner conflict. Every dragon you saw today carries a different meaning. One reminds you to build patiently. Another teaches restraint. Another calls you to act. Another speaks of renewal. And the last one confronts you with who you truly are. These are not just objects. They are symbols you choose to live without. The space you surround yourself with shapes your thoughts. And the myths you keep close shape your mindset. If one of these dragons stayed with you longer than the others, that is not coincidence. That is recognition. If you want more mythology brought into the modern world, more symbols you can touch, build, and